So this is part 2 to the confirmations message I just put out. The Lord wanted me to touch on it some more. He had some more things to say about it. So I'm going to do that. So this message here is only going to make sense if you watch the message before this of confirmations. That's the part 1. This will be titled Confirmations Part 2 to show that it ties to this one. But yeah, like I was saying, I said the first part, and then this is like the second part to that. So this is the, the trail on from that last message, right? So the Lord was also just saying that it takes a lot of persecution and prosecution to go through or to walk in the office of being a prophet, a true blue prophet anyway, right? One that's truly anointed and appointed. You're going to face persecution, and that's just part of the game, right? That's just how it works. It's no different than if you're playing any other sports game, so to speak. An actual, you're going to have opponents, you're going to have adversaries, you're going to have those who make it their literal mission to make it so you don't lose, or make it so that you lose and you don't win, right? That's what their duty is. So when you're picture a sports game, when a team is playing another team, the winning team wants to win whatever it is, right? And for you, you're just wanting to win the right or the ability to represent Jesus Christ, right? But the other team, if the other team makes it, hold on. Sorry about that. That was my little guy there. Yeah, you can probably hear him in the background. It's almost bedtime, so he's getting a little excited. As I was saying, there's the devil with the more distractions. So the other team automatically comes along and makes it their mission so that not only that they can win, and what their winning looks like is stopping you. That's what the devil's ultimate goal is there's not even really, it is like a game, but it's not really a game. All you're trying to do is do the Lord's work for the Lord and represent the Lord as he's anointed and appointed you to do, right? To walk in obedience, to walk in righteousness, to represent God's kingdom. And you should just be allowed to do that, period. But because Satan can't have it, you're out here saving souls. You're out here stopping he sends adversaries and foes into everybody's life, and by you walking in your true gifts, you're out here trying to thwart his plans, trying to stop his plans. He can't have you saving souls. He can't have you being saved. So therefore, like a football game or a basketball game, he has to come at you as the other team, just trying to make it so that you can't get the victory, so to speak, right? And the victory is to save souls. He doesn't want you doing that. So therefore, he sends his puppets, aka your adversaries, to come against you, basically just to try to stop you from reaching that victory. And if they can't stop you, then they want to at least try to discourage you, distract you, delay you, all this stuff. Instead of you getting your victory in the game in an hour, they want that game to go on for 5, 6, 7 hours. They want it to go on as long as they can, prolonging the ultimate victory, right? But if you're 10, 15, 30 points ahead of the opponent, say in the game speak, the victory is assured. It doesn't matter if it happens in the next 10 minutes or in the next hour, the victory is assured. But of course, the opposition thinks that they're going to make up lost ground in that time and be able to take the victory from you. And in this spiritual game, so to speak, the victory looks like them stopping you from serving your purpose, right? And so going back to part 1 of this word, when I was talking about how my channel and my voice has basically been stifled and shadow banned, why would that be? Because the devil doesn't want me in my anointing and in my calling and working in my gifts, which are, at a supersized formation, to be going out and saving souls. Because say the average could save 10 souls, I could save thousands, right? So therefore, the more stifled that I can be, the less likely my voice can resonate, right? And I've put out words about this before, how like the Lord was giving me confirmation on this. Even I think it was last summer, I put out the first word about the counterfeit on the Kingdom Spouse journey being Ursula. in that message that fit for that time, so to speak, and in that situation. But the point is the same, is that the Lord was trying to highlight to me that Ursula, as we know, was a witch representing the demonic, representing witchcraft, representing the dark side, so to speak, that ultimately was trying to shut Ariel up, stifle her voice, make it so she couldn't speak, because the witch knew, and the dark side knows, that if Ariel, who represents good, and you represent good, can speak, not only can you penetrate your kingdom spouse's heart, but you can also penetrate other people's hearts too, through the power of Jesus Christ, right? So, like, just as an analogy, that's kind of what it's like. So if I had the opportunity to be heard by thousands and thousands, how many souls could be saved potentially, right? How many people would be going down a certain road that would maybe stop twice or think twice, that they or maybe the Lord has whispered something to them already, and my message would serve as a confirmation to that. But that could change things. And like I mentioned, the trickle effect, if I change a soul, and a soul changes a soul, and a soul changes a soul, over the duration of time, and especially when on social media platforms, we can reach thousands upon thousands of people within 24 hours, there's the potential for that, it's stopping people, right? And so that is also why the Lord has, quote unquote, allowed others to take my messages, like to basically copy my words and put it in their context to fit their audience, is because at the end of the day, the goal isn't, well, this is mine, that's yours, I'm this, you're that, you know what I mean? It's the goal, their goal, well, it should be to save souls, not to line their pockets. And my goal is always to save souls and not to line my pockets, right? And that was Jesus Christ's goal, was to save souls and not line his pockets. That should be the collective mission for me, for other prophets, anybody that says they're a true prophet, and I spoke about this before too, their sole goal should be to try to save souls. I like that, sole goal to save souls. It shouldn't be to try to get fame, to get notoriety, to get bumped up, to get money, to get become a trend or whatever, go viral, none of that stuff. It should be to save souls. And that's why the Lord allows us to tap into the enemy's playground, aka internet, aka social media, is so that myself and others, the ones that you tune into every day on here and other platforms, can spread the word of the Lord, right? And that's, like I said in the last message, that's why the Lord gives me the words and the revelation, is because he knows I have good intentions, right? I come from a pure place, right? And so again, like the Lord, on the break there before I recorded this word from the last one, this one, the Lord reminded me, he said, thieves don't rob empty houses, right? And so as we know, that's the thing, is that the Lord knows how, the devil knows how the Lord moves, but the Lord knows obviously how the devil moves, obviously, right? And so the Lord knows that the devil is not going to waste his time with people that don't, like, if I didn't have an anointing or calling or any true gifts, and I wasn't truly sent by the Lord, why would the devil be knocking on my door so hard? There's so many other Christians out there. There's so many other prophets that he could be banging on their door, but he bangs on mine twice as hard as theirs. Why is that? Because like the Lord reminded me of and said, thieves don't rob empty houses. If a thief's given the chance to rob the $1 million house versus the $10 million house, the thief is going to choose the $10 million house over the $1 million house. It doesn't mean the $1 million house doesn't have riches or any goods or anything like that. It just means that when a thief is very simple-minded, right? A thief is just simple. So therefore the thief just thinks, well, the $10 million household must have more in it or be more rich than the $1 million household, as you'd think, but not necessarily, right? But that's just how a thief thinks, right? So therefore the thief is going to try to rob the person like the devil sends the thief. So the devil knows who's more anointed, who's more gifted, and who the Lord favors more, right? Another example is like, so with Joseph and his brothers, as we know in the story of Joseph was following like the Lord. So therefore Joseph was the anointed one out of his family, right? And his brothers knew that. That's why they were jealous of him. Now, the devil could have done all kinds of stuff. Like, obviously, his brothers were working for the devil, right? For the fact that they were trying to go after Joseph so hard, just like the Saul and David comparison, right? The devil could have had a heyday with his brothers, right? And he did by way of having them attack Joseph. But therefore Joseph worked for the Lord. So therefore, why was the devil after Joseph so hard? Why was he after Job so hard? There's other people in those days besides Job and Joseph that the devil, that worshiped the Lord, that the devil could have went after, and perhaps he did, but for some reason, Joseph's story and Job's stories were highlighted. Why were they highlighted? Well, for one, with Joseph, he obviously was anointed with a gift from the Lord to be able to break down dreams, to be able to do dream interpretation, right? That was a gift given to him from the Lord. That's not necessarily something his brothers had, and his brothers knew that. That's why they were jealous of Joseph to begin with, right? That's what caused them to be able to be used by the devil. So the brothers went after Joseph, yes, but it wasn't the brothers that had such a gripe and a beef with Joseph. It was the devil. The devil had issue with the fact that Joseph could dream interpret, right? And also could know that down the road, eventually Joseph was going to do a dream interpretation I think it was for Pharaoh, and therefore he was going to become an appointed man, which he did. He ended up being like the second man in charge or something, the second man in command. He ended up receiving a high ranking in the land at that time for the fact that he accurately interpreted Pharaoh's dream, right? And so the devil knew, could Joseph's brothers have interpreted that dream? No, they couldn't have. And if they did, would it have been accurate? Would it have been true? You know what I'm saying? Come to pass. So because of the gifts that Job had, it allowed the brothers to be sent by the devil, because it was the devil that had the issue and sent the brothers as his puppets, because the brothers weren't saved and they didn't walk with the Lord like Joseph did. And they also weren't anointed and appointed with the gift that Joseph had. So because of that, it sparked jealousy to go after Joseph. But it was also, that was one part of the coin. But the other part of the coin was that the devil also knew that down the road, despite being in prison, falsely accused, all that other stuff, Joseph was going to interpret a dream for Pharaoh accurately that was going to then in turn bestow, a higher ranking on him, right? And so the devil wanted to stop Joseph from ever falling into his gift, his prophetic gift, his gift, his spiritual gift that the Lord had bestowed on him. So he started out by round one, get the brothers against him. Well, that didn't work. So now round two, get him falsely accused and in prison. Well, that didn't work. And so none of what the devil was trying to do worked. So therefore, Joseph ultimately met his destiny that was laid out from him from the very beginning of birth, because the Lord didn't just give Joseph that gift the day before it happened. He had that in him all along. That's why the brothers were against him a long time before that situation arose, right? Because you're born with your prophetic gifts. And then that's when the Lord decided to put Joseph to use and say, well, you're going to go interpret this dream, and turned up and on his prophetic gift. And Joseph used his spiritual gift, and therefore he broke down the dream, and he prophesied actually in the dream what was around the corner and going to happen, and it came to pass. So therefore that's how he became. And so not only did the devil's plans of delay and distraction and thwarting Joseph not work, but he also was trying to stifle Joseph and shut him up by putting him in the prison, because if he's in the prison, he can't exercise his gifts as well as he could if he was free, right? But the Lord knew that no matter what the devil threw at Joseph, the God's plan was ultimately going to come to pass, and therefore it did. And everything played out the way that it was supposed to. Now, someone could have looked at Joseph when he was in the prison and said, oh, I guess you don't walk with the Lord. I guess you're not gifted. I guess you don't have a spiritual gift or whatever else. Look at you. You're in the prison. But at the same time, we know that, Joseph ended up interpreting the dream, and the dream came to pass. So therefore, obviously, Joseph was who he said he was. He really was appointed and anointed. He really was gifted. He really did walk with the Lord, right? So it may not have looked like it at the time when he was being falsely accused and imprisoned, but it sure looked like it down the road, didn't it, right? So this is what I'm saying, is that the Lord is saying, the devil is the thief. So we see these thieves in human flesh as our adversaries, those who come against us, like the opposing team that's trying to thwart or distract or delay or discourage us from our victory. And our victory is saving souls and walking in the glory of God, right? And working in the spiritual gifts that the Lord has anointed and appointed us with. But the devil doesn't want that. So he sends these people in your life, just like Joseph had his own family members, and usually they're close, not always, some are strangers, like look at the Pharisees that went against Jesus, right? But some of them are close to you, like Judas, right? You eat with them, you kiss them on the cheek, everything. So that's the thing, is the devil will use whoever, whenever, however, whatever, just to try to stop those who are highly anointed and appointed. So am I surprised that my channel doesn't get circulated? Not really. I'd be more surprised if it did, because that would mean that the devil isn't coming at me 10 toes down, which I know he is and has been forever, right? And that's the same thing. If you are a millionaire in a mansion, are you surprised when a thief breaks in? Not really. You know that you're showing what you have on the outside, so therefore it's par for the course, right? And so that's the thing, is like the Lord was just saying that the devil wants to stop you and discourage you. You know, that's his goal. So if the Lord is nudging you in whatever way it may be, because everybody's different, right? The Lord wanted Joseph to one day decipher and interpret that dream for Pharaoh, right? But the Lord knew it wasn't going to be a hop, skip, and a jump there. Joseph had to go through some things first before this, before the prophecy for Joseph's life could come to pass, right? And there was going to be some difficulty and hardship, because it's basically like, as we know, Joseph with his coat of many colors that his father had made for him and given him. That was also a physical interpretation of, hey, I have something, you know what I mean? I have something that not everybody has, right? And it's the same with myself. My voice to give out the prophet, to be a prophet and give out prophecy, is not something that necessarily everybody has. So Joseph, with his dream interpretation skills, his spiritual gifts, his coat of many colors, etc., these things made him a target. And no different than how a millionaire with a mansion with their 5 cars and their jewelry makes them a target, right? Just like with a prophet with a true prophetic voice makes them a target. So therefore, you have to expect to have adversity come against you, right? And so if the Lord has plans for you and he's nudging you in a certain direction on how you yourself can exercise your prophetic gift, if you're seeing pushback from obviously the devil or from the enemy or your adversaries, that's to be expected, right? You expect something like that to happen, right? It's just par for the course. Don't let it stop you. That's what the devil's trying to do. He's trying to get me to stop posting by saying to me, oh, see, Amanda, your videos aren't being viewed as much as others. You know you're prophetic, so do I, but therefore I'm going to try and discourage you and try and distract you by trying to make it so that your content doesn't reach more people than it should. Because for one, the devil's threatened by that. He's intimidated by that. Doesn't want my content reaching more people because, who knows, maybe they'll awaken to their spiritual gifts. Maybe they'll establish a relationship with the Lord. Maybe they will leave Team Satan and turn to Team Jesus, right? Who knows, right? There's so many possibilities. And also, there's probably things in store for me as well that the devil's aware of, just like what was in store for Joseph and for Job. When Job came out of his testing time and season of trial, we know that he was blessed doublefold, right? Well, the devil didn't want that, but that's what Job received for what he'd been through. And Joseph being recognized and being bestowed as a man of honor in the land was his reward for having gone through his false persecution and all that kind of stuff, right? So that's the other thing too, is we don't always know what's up ahead for us, but the Lord does. That's why he continued to encourage Joseph, even though he was being falsely accused and imprisoned, right? Even though Job lost everything. And even though I myself go through consistent warfare and adversity, the Lord encourages me, right? Like I said in the last video, he gives me the thumbs up, the likes, the hugs, the accolades, the high fives, the support, right? Just like he was obviously still supporting Job through things and supporting Joseph through things and supporting David through things, right? It's all just par for the course. So yeah, the devil wouldn't try so hard to stop you unless you had something to offer, right? Unless there was a reason to stop you, because there's plenty of other people that follow the Lord and pray every day that he can go after. But if you're not just prophetic, but if you're prophetic and or if you have spiritual gifts, and you notice that the more you walk with the Lord and foster your relationship with the Lord, the more you seem to be receiving pushback, that's to be expected. You're not doing anything wrong. The devil's trying to discourage you and make you think you're doing something wrong, trying to delay things for you, trying to keep you stuck in pits and traps and seasons. But the Lord will be there to encourage you and nudge you on and, support you, just like he was with, like I said, David and Job and Joseph, who all went through adversity, right? And who was behind Joseph's adversity from his brothers? The devil. Who was behind Job losing everything? It was the devil. Who was behind the evil spirit that took hold of Saul? The devil. Who is behind your warfare, the witchcraft, the adversaries that come against you? The devil, right? So let this message be a confirmation to you that, you're on the right track, despite what it may appear like or feel like or seem like or what others may think or what others might say. You're on the right track despite it all, okay? Just stay strong and stay close to the Lord. And this message is also part 2 from the last message about confirmations, that if you've been following my channel, that like the Lord was confirming to me that a lot of my messages I've put out have already come to pass and are going to come to pass down the road, even if it doesn't look like it yet. Like, for instance, I put out a word a while back, if you're on the Kingdom Spouse journey, saying that if your spouse chooses you, destiny will be fulfilled for you. And if your spouse doesn't choose you, then that's, destiny will still be fulfilled for you. There's no wrong turn, because it's just like with Joseph. Whether Joseph was married or single, he still would have been able to interpret the dream and been in the position that he was in. If that was his destiny, was to be falsely imprisoned and accused and to interpret Pharaoh's dream, then that was his destiny. Prophecy must be fulfilled. So therefore, whether Joseph had a family, was single, had a wife, it didn't matter. He was going to end up there ultimately at the end of the day, because that's where the Lord had him destined to be, right? So that's the thing, is if the Lord has it destined that you're going to be in a kingdom marriage or be a kingdom wife or husband and have a kingdom spouse, then whether that's the person that the Lord's had you waiting on or praying for or not, the Lord is going to fulfill prophecy and destiny and have you have a kingdom family, kingdom husband, kingdom wife, kingdom marriage, etc., right? Nothing's going to change. No devil, no distraction or delay along the way, as discouraging as it could be or as distracting as it could be, is going to cause the Lord to thwart his good and purposeful plan for your life, right? Your purposeful plan for your life, right? As the scripture says, all things work together for the good of those who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. Joseph was called according to his purpose. Job was called according to his purpose. I'm called according to his purpose, and you are also called according to his purpose, right? And this is also a quick confirmation too, that I've put out words in the last couple of months saying that your adversaries are the tables will turn, they'll be on the bottom and you'll be up on the top, because the word of the Lord says you're the head and not the tail. And that, no weapon formed against you shall prosper. So therefore, if some of you, it's already happened where you've started to see the tables turn and you're starting to see those who come against you on the bottom and you are coming up to the top. If not yet, it's on the way for you. But this message also serves as a confirmation that wheel has already turned. It's in the middle of turning. Like I put out a word, I think it was a couple days ago, saying the counterfeits are scrambling, and they are scrambling. But again, prophecy was that the counterfeits were going to be on the bottom. They were going to scramble and fall off the cliff, the spiritual cliff, so to speak, and that you were going to rise above. And that's exactly what is unfolding. So I hope this message finds you well. I hope it finds who it needs to find. I hope it blesses you and encourages you. I hope it serves as confirmation for you. And yeah, I hope it finds you well. Take care and God bless.